Thank you all for coming. I know the past 2 days have been pretty grueling, so the fact that you're all here, I really do appreciate that. So, my name is Jeff Reitzen. I am from CCDR Media. For the record, I did try to move this to a craps table, but Missy and Sean didn't have it, so here we are. CCDR Media is a division of CPXi. Some of you may be familiar with CPXi. We've had over a decade of experience connecting brands with consumers. I'm kind of one of those rare freaks of the industry that has been with the same company for over 10 years. And in that time, I've done a lot of different things. Sales, account management, product development, creative design, user engagement. And one of the things that I've always kind of felt held true is that us as internet marketers have more of an advantage over our forefathers of advertising, in that we can iterate and test pages, faster than anyone ever has been able to. So with that said, I want to kind of go into a little bit of success that we've had over the past year or so with successful landing pages and how they've kind of came off of the display that we use. We'll do a quick case study on landing page optimization, all the different tactics that we've used and the most successful tactics that we used in 2014. And lastly, I just kind of want to go over some analytics tools for building landing pages that beat the competition. Now, these two things are sort of the the landing pages and beating the competition. These are 18-hour sessions, and I have 18 minutes, so I'm going to kind of breeze right through this. If you have any questions afterwards, please ask. So some landing page techniques, best practices. So just to get the quick basics of this, understand your campaign objectives. You don't want to be in a situation where you're advertising for something that your advertiser doesn't necessarily want. You make a quick $5,000, the advertiser makes nothing, you lose the campaign. You could potentially be missing out on lots of revenue. Know your audience. If you're advertising to old people, or you're advertising to a 70, 80-year-old person and your font is very tiny, most old people can't see very well. I'm sure many of you could second that. Maintain brand and creative guidelines. Don't do something that your advertiser is not going to want you to do. It's pretty common sense, but don't do it. You'll risk non-payment, and you will lose a ton of money on margin. Study your competition. I think every book in the Affiliate Summit bookstore will tell you. That's something you should definitely be doing, knowing what the market is doing and being ready to pivot at any given point. I think the internet marketing industry, specifically in the direct response field, moves every probably 3 years. So if you miss out on that, there's a good chance you're going to lose tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars while you're waiting for that. So test and iterate. I can't stress this enough. Many of you know this if you're intermediate, that you should constantly be split testing and constantly be adding new pages. Even when you find a successful creative and landing page combination, you still want to continue to split test. So that's very important. So some elements of a successful landing page. Branding is very important, but one thing that I do notice in a lot of people's pages, especially in the beginners, is that you link out the pages to all different types of sites for more information for the user, and what ends up happening is you lose the user. If your user is somebody like me who has 50 tabs open on their browser, they're never going to find your site again. So try not to link them out. Try to give the information in a simple way on your site. Interesting product visual. I'm always on the lookout for images that I think are catchy, something that really hits my eye. That's something you should be doing too. I mean, I've even gone on DeviantArt and paid artists for the images that they kind of portray in their forums. Most artists are starving, so you should be able to do that pretty simply. Video increases engagement rate. So, go on YouTube, find a video that, kind of complements what your advertiser is doing, and, that'll help you increase engagement rate. Split test different videos, that's always going to help you. Testimonials. Don't tell the user that you're the best. Find testimonials that will, prove it. Nobody really will believe you just by putting a sentence. You have to make sure that, they're actually, showing it. So if your advertiser has testimonials, ask for them. If you have your own product, give out a $50 gift card contest, and, that'll really help. We've seen anywhere from, 10 to 25% lifts just by adding testimonials to a page. Something about putting social media icons, even if you don't have much of a fan page, just increases the trust that your user and you will have. So it's definitely a good thing to do. Be very succinct and clear with your call to action. Very much describe the offer in a simple way. I have kind of a rule of thumb where If it's a low CPA, you could kind of get away with the short form. If you have a very high CPA asking for a lot of information, credit card, social security number, etc., you want to have a lot more information there. And something else you might notice here is that the call to action buttons are always contrasting from the rest of the page. Call to action buttons are very, very important, and you want to make sure that the user sees that and pretty much only that as they're looking at the page. Simple forms, if you have a lot of fields, I'm sure many of you have seen this before, tie them over many, many different pages. Don't, litter a page filled with forms. You're never going to, sell a user like that. We've seen some pretty big lifts doing that as well. Now, copywriting is extremely important for us. I'm not a very good copywriter. I hire people. I find people on Odesk and Freelancer, and they do it for me. But if you're not going to hire somebody, cashvertising.com is a really good copywriting site. There's a lot of direct response marketing copywriting sites as well, but Drew Eric Whitman has some pretty good tips. Over 83% of people read headlines only. CPXi actually has a content division. One of the sites that we advertise on is a celebrity news site. We actually subscribe to the New York Post. So that our designers can kind of see what's out there. And I don't know if you've seen the New York Post, but the headlines are fairly fantastical. So it's a good thing to do to make sure that you know what's catching people's eyes. Captions under photos. I think we've seen this with native, where if you have a really image that shows draws the user in, almost 200% of the time they're going to look at the caption underneath that image. So if you have a good call to action, you want to put it under those images. Sale prices, I think my international clients have told me this a few times, that all you have to do is tell an American user that something's on sale and they're going to buy it. So it's definitely something that you want to start looking at in split testing. 20% lift that we've actually seen as well, 20 to 25% just by adding sales. Use easy to read fonts. I think the rule is under 12 Verdana, over 12 Arial. So it's a good rule of thumb to kind of use. Brand and creative guidelines, we talked about that. Make sure you're being compliant. So this is a chart that I found from the logo company, and I'll go back here. This is a chart I found from the logo company, and it kind of holds true how brands use different colors to kind of influence the emotions of the users. And if you look at it, it actually, balance, calm. I think every Apple commercial I've ever seen has been a very peaceful music, very simple messaging. McDonald's, optimism. I think the last commercial I saw, they said love is endless, which is pretty optimistic if you ask me. I guess in Las Vegas, love is endless, right? So landing page testing, I think, again, I can go into this for 18 hours, but the best resources that you can use are using the affiliate forums and some of the affiliate bloggers I like Charles No and Zach Johnson. They have some really good ways that you can split test. Go on the affiliate forums, do a lot more research on that. We actually have a thumb drive down here if you guys want to grab it after. After this, it has a lot more resources that we use to, find this type of information out. But like I said before, some of the most important elements that we find in split testing is, the headlines, the call to actions, the photos. Copywriting for us has been, enormous. Some really good tools that we've used to split test pages is Optimizely. Optimizely essentially lets you load one tag into your browser, into your website, and then you could iterate multiple versions of different pages and use a slider and kind of drag and drop traffic to each individual site. So that's a really easy way to split test your pages. Once you find the final product, you put that up on your ad server and you're good. Banner Flow and Canva, also very good products specifically for banner testing and that sort of thing. There's a lot of resources in there. You can easily just kind of drag and drop to build these creatives for yourself. So we'll do a quick case study on landing page optimization. CCDR works directly with many advertisers that kind of expect us. We work on a CPA and we buy all our traffic, CPM and CPC. So they expect us to succeed, and it costs us a lot of money to do this. So for us, it's very, very important to have a solid landing page. And on the back end, we also have an affiliate network where affiliates come to us, and it's a very competitive market. So they expect us to have the best landing pages and the highest rates, and this is it's a very important thing for us. So we built an auto insurance page. We did very well with it, but we split tested across many different ways. The first time we kind of built it, we added all this content, all this information. But what we found is that if you keep it more succinct, one column formatting, get rid of as much text that really doesn't need to be there. The user doesn't want to sit there and read all day for just a quick quote. So that definitely helped. Another thing, if you notice that we had a continue button, we changed to get a quote. You should always, stop. Don't use continue. Don't use next. Tell the user specifically what they're going to be doing, and that adds 5 to 10% on the conversion rate. I think another thing that I really like about this page is that we use the cartoon. I think if you're going to take any lesson from The Simpsons being the longest running TV show, it's that cartoons work. People trust cartoons. I think we're kind of past the days of the stock photo guy with the thumbs up and the coffee cup. I think that guy's kind of gone to the wayside. So if you really like that guy, you could take him and send him to Fiverr.com, and for $5 they can cartoonify it. So if you like a stock photo that you're using, try to cartoonify it, split test it. I think you'll have some success. We certainly have. Now, design for the audience, know your sources. If you're coming from Facebook and you're bringing the user in, change just the top border there to, a Facebook-like color and maybe a font, and that'll kind of, keep the user in the flow of where they are. That we've seen lifts from doing that. I mentioned the call to action button, make sure that stands out and contrasts the rest of the page. And sometimes appealing to the user's nationalism works. We've, especially internationally, we add a flag of where the user is. That's increased conversions for us. Again, I mentioned testimonials. Don't just say, we have the best rates. Find testimonials of people that can actually go out there and tell the users how good the products are. I can't stress that enough. Certifications, Better Business Bureau, as long as your advertiser's, good with the Better Business Bureau, you want to put the certification there. Things like Norton Security, you can submit your landing pages straight to Norton and they will certify you. People, again, see these types of icons and they look at it with increasing trust. So indicate urgency. Provide a time frame. Sometimes if your advertiser thinks that's a compliant thing to do or is okay with that, you want to add a timer. That sometimes helps. Don't just say something like find a lower rate. Tell them what they're going to lose, not what they're going to gain. Instead of find a lower rate, before today's rates increase, get your quote now. That has certainly shown a lift for us on the copywriting side. Recommendations. I think my favorite quote from Steve Jobs is the consumer doesn't know what they want, we have to tell them. So, right here, there's a lot of text, there's a lot of information here. Just give them the top 2 products that, especially if you're making, a good commission on that, use those, on the top. And, I don't know if you could really see it, but we yellowed those out. We, you add some stars to next to them. That certainly, has helped conversion rates. Avoid drop-down. I think that's my biggest pet peeve is getting a drop-down and scrolling for 15 minutes to find, in this case, the Lamborghini. It's sort of a pipe dream. But anyway, so what they kind of did here, and this is one of our advertisers actually, they kind of put all the different cars across the entire form, so it's a little easier to kind of pick and choose instead of having to scroll. And if you can do autocomplete, there are services out there that'll help you with that. In this case, you literally type in the first number of the address, and it immediately populates a drop-down with addresses from that zip code that we populated on the first page. So that certainly has helped us a lot because it decreases the time that the user is on the page, and that's important. And keep it brief. Only ask the questions that are really essential for the lead gen. So I'll go a little bit into competitive intelligence tools. Again, it's very important to know your competition. There have been a few seminars about some of these tools, but we've certainly had a lot of success with them. There's a lot of tools that do a lot of the same things, and the way I see it is, as much information as you can possibly get is really what's important, because everybody has different data based on what they're kind of filtering. We have a sales team that's like I said, the market pivots all the time. The sales team has to be aware of where the market is going, and you want to make sure you're watching your traffic sources. Your traffic sources are your gold, so to speak. So if somebody's coming in and taking over for you, if you have an 80% margin on one source, you have to make sure that you're protecting that source. So one thing that I really like is AdBeat. AdBeat essentially will give you information from all over the industry that shows different ads that are running, the top verticals of that are out there. One thing I really like about this is that you can take an advertiser and you can add it right into AdBeat, and what they do is they show you the different landing pages that advertiser has used before. Really what I like about that is when we get a new advertiser in, we kind of get fed a low-level account manager, and they just hand you the first page that they can pull out of their interface. AdBeat will show you what they're actually split testing, and you have the advantage right from the start. Similar tools, What Runs Where. They have a great top ads tool that essentially you hit top ads, and sometimes in my free time I'll do this. You can just kind of start scrolling through all the different ads in whatever different display banner size you would like, and it shows you kind of what's going on in the marketplace. You could even kind of look at your competitors, the different networks that are out there, and what they're running. So that's also been very, very helpful for us. SEMrush, if you're on the search side, your keywords are the same thing as your placements. So you want to make sure that you're providing insight into, basically what they do is they provide insight on the copy and the different keywords and the rankings, ad spend, traffic, all different types of things like that. So this is very helpful, specifically on the search copy and keyword rankings. And Follow.net, one of kind of a lesser known tool, but I like it just as much. It's a very cheap solution that essentially consolidates all the different tools that, first of all, that I just mentioned, but many others: Compete, SimilarWeb, Alexa, Google and Bing rankings, the Twitter feeds. You can add advertisers, and they kind of create a story for you, and constantly email you different things that are happening with that advertiser. So if you have a few advertisers, you can kind of put them in and monitor them that way. So that's been really helpful. It's a Chrome or a Firefox extension, and I think you could even log in. So that's been really good for us too. It doesn't give you as much information as going to What Runs Where AdBeat directly would, but it gives you some kind of basics, and especially if you don't know which tool you want to use, if you want to just use one, Follow is a great way to kind of see what's out there. So we kind of went over a lot here. We talked about the campaign objectives, knowing your audience. I can't stress that enough. If you don't know who your audience is, you're not going to succeed. Brand and creative guidelines. Don't get kind of thrown off an offer before you have a chance to make money on it. Study your competition and test and iterate. So that's pretty much it. Thank you all. If you have any questions, I'll be at the craps table outside, or you can come to our booth, and I have plenty of account managers that'll be happy to help you. But thank you.